Good morning, Dr. Gary here on the road. We are dental practice brokers nationwide. Today's topic is going to be problems after the sale of a dental practice with accounts receivable and record keeping. We're going to get into that, what happened under this circumstance. And I just got a call this morning. You know, these dental practice sales are not always easy, but they're usually always successful. And we're excited to continue to participate with them. So we'll tell you what happened in a moment so you understand real life what's going on. Anyway, so as you know, we're now in 28 states selling dental practices. We have 10 employees, including 2 CPA accountants, marketing director, advertising, and operations director, plus acquisition development acquisition employees. And it's been working out great. You can reach us at 201-663-0935. Our website is nationwidedentalpracticebroker.com. Also, dentalpracticeguide.com. You can reach us now from about 7:30, 8 o'clock a.m. East Coast time till 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. So give us a ring. We're here to help you. And if you want to sell to a DSO, please give us a call, because often they will pay our commission. There'll be no commission to you as the seller. And sometimes we can get your legal fees reimbursed at closing, depending on certain criteria. So anyway, what happened now? It was a beautiful practice. I mean, it was gorgeous inside. It had beautiful stonework, CAT scans, scanners, lower gross, it was under $400,000. But it was beautiful inside. I mean, anybody that would see this would just be, you just fall in love with it. It was just so well taken care of, great location. But of course, lower gross. But the buyer was excited. Certainly for the physical plant, the buyer felt that they could turn the practice around easily. And with the cost of building nowadays, it's really expensive. And with the supply chain shortages, you don't always get the colors and everything you want. So the buyer was excited, could move right in, had staffing and everything. So after the sale, within a few weeks, certain problems developed. And those problems were, this seller had very poor record keeping, even though the seller was digital and he was computerized and had great equipment, and the seller, he was paperless. Even with all that, there was a lot of billing problems, accounts receivable and billing problems. Now, a buyer doesn't really get that involved with the accounts receivable, because historically on private deals, that belongs to the seller. And the buyer doesn't get involved with it. The buyer will just, after closing, the check is made out to the insurance check is made out to the seller, so they'll just pass it on to the seller, and seller may hire up, one of their staff members just to book all the insurance checks and so forth. But there's certainly situations where even if the buyer is credentialed with that insurance, that, they may do work on the same patient, submit insurance, even though it's under the seller's name, the new buyer's name. Insurance companies can sometimes mix up and put the old seller's name on both of the procedures. So that could still happen. So that's where the problems happened. The accounts receivable, the buyer's not buying them, so the buyer didn't really bother, which is normal, spending a lot of time analyzing the accounts receivable, because it really wasn't the buyer's concern. They're not buying the accounts receivable. So there's other financial issues to focus on more. That's what the buyer did properly. Now, as time went on, it turned out that the record keeping was poor. Accounts receivable, reconciling that was terrible. And it's just getting to be a nightmare. Fortunately, we have situations like this. The buyer can call me, and I'll try to give my 2 points in there. and the buyer and the seller both had great different dental attorneys, and they could jump in. Remember, dental attorneys are experienced with this before, and they could jump in, and especially specific on dental, with insurances having two payers on it, or only coming on one payer. How do you handle that? So this is a big problem. So we're here, we're available, and we're trying to resolve this with the seller, with the buyer, to keep everybody calm. We're pulling the attorneys in post-closing, and they're giving their opinions too. It is stressful for the seller, stressful for the buyer, but because of poor records, you'd really have to say it's a responsibility of the seller. The buyer didn't realize that these accounts receivable were not done properly. It was really a mess. And again, understanding they didn't focus on it, even though we forwarded it to them and so forth, and their professionals could look at it, not a lot of time was spent on analyzing the seller's accounts receivable. Now, when we do DSO deals, it's completely different, because they usually get all the accounts receivable, or they analyze it ahead of time and do a lot of due diligence. We will work this out. We're going to reach amicable resolution, but you just got to be aware. You got to analyze what the business model is as far as the accounts receivable. I rarely have a problem, but this time it developed a problem. I don't think the buyer's financial team spent enough time analyzing it. If they did, they would have seen the problems that they may be encountering and try to figure it out ahead of time. But we don't run into this problem that often, nor do the attorneys, so we're going to have to deal with it. We will have a happy ending. We're just trying to tell you like it is. This is what happens out there. This is real life. We got a problem on our hands now. But it's between Christmas and New Year's time. We're here. Even if we were on vacation, we're still jumping in there. And the attorneys you work with, they jump in there too. So it's important. Your attorneys are available on the weekends and on holidays to at least say, look, I'll analyze it, I'll get back to you next week, or I acknowledge the problem, I'm aware of it, let me work on a solution. And that's what I find by great dental attorneys. And we as brokers are aware of these problems, how to handle it. And we were available to listen to the buyer, listen to the seller. Very important. They need a sounding board and they need advice. You cannot just cut and run. I believe that's what makes us different as brokers. We don't cut and run after the deal's over. We may exhale 5 minutes after the deal's over, but we're still there for problems, issues, and so forth to handle it. And this will be handled, and we will have amicable resolution. But you've got to give the support to the buyer, support to the seller. Having great dental attorneys such as our team that we work with, and us as brokers, we jump in there and try to assist wherever we can. All right? Giving you news from the front, from the battle lines, and from the street. This is how it happens every day. Thank you. Bye.